Python has many different types of data. Some of them can be extremely complicated and they can do all kind of things. But other times you just need something simple. And that's what I want to talk today about, which is basically the simplest data type that could be in Python, a data type which is only one of two values. It's either true or it's false. And we call this a Boolean. So a Boolean might look something like this. You see true written with a capital T, and that's important. Or you'll see false written with a capital F. And these, you can see the color that they show up there, they're recognized by Python as particular values, which are those Boolean values, true or false. And like any other kind of values, these can be assigned to variables as well. Booleans can be used in all kinds of situations, but you can imagine things where you want to check if a condition is met before you do or don't run some code. You can imagine where you just need to store a simple binary value, which can only take one of two values. Those are the kind of places where you might use a Boolean. And the kind of places where you'll see them used within the code might be in places like if statements, which check conditions. So you might say if this variable is true, then this code is going to run. So this variable here is going to be evaluated as a Boolean condition to either be true or false. And the value of that is going to determine whether this code runs or not. Now, interestingly, you can use other operators like the comparison operator equals to compare variables with this Boolean value. So if I say true is equal to true, well, that of course is going to be true. If, however, is true is false, then this condition is not going to be met. So that's the kind of place where you might see Booleans used, at least one type there. You might also see the while loops. So while is followed by a condition, which is going to have to eventually result in that Boolean value. And if it does, then the loop is going to continue to run. So that is a loop which would run forever because that condition is always true. Just like I could put the hard-coded Boolean value in here and that condition would always be true. Or I can have some comparison there to compare my variable with this Boolean value to check if it's met. And depending on the logic of my code, maybe this changes and that runs or stops running in different cases. But that's another kind of place where you might see the Boolean used. But the reason why I wanted to show this is because even though I've got a Boolean here and a Boolean here, overall, this whole thing here, this resolves to a Boolean itself. It becomes a Boolean. This whole statement here, which I've highlighted, all of this is evaluated by Python, which actually becomes a different value, and it becomes a Boolean value. So I might have a different statement, something like this. If, let's say I've got a variable, my num, and that's equal to 10, it's a number 10. And if I say my num is greater than 10, then here you've got a condition which doesn't contain any Boolean values. Let's say it's 11 actually, so it's different. So this doesn't contain any Boolean values, but overall it is evaluated and it becomes a Boolean value, all of that. So if I run this, it's going to print hi forever. So I'm going to interrupt that. But if I actually print that condition, then you can see that that condition itself, the whole thing, all of this has become true. It's been evaluated to the Boolean value. So a lot of the operators do something like this. They will, if it's a comparison operator, at least it will compare two things and it will give you back a Boolean value, that true or false. So I'm sure you get the hang of it now. That's enough for you to get started. But that's what Booleans are and how you might see them used.